I didn't watch the Bad Bunny Super Bowl live. Actually, I still have yet to see it. And it's not for the reason you might think. So, I'm Puerto Rican. And Puerto Ricans are American citizens, for anyone just finding out. And I was so excited, and I've been so excited and so proud for this performance, for Puerto Ricans and Latinos in general being put on the main stage, especially right now. But that's also exactly why it's so hard for me to celebrate right now. It's so hard for me to celebrate right now, knowing everything that's going on, and like, there are people who think they understand that, the about law enforcement and what's happening in Minneapolis and what's happening with this, particular law enforcement agency that's run amok, is that it's being used to further an agenda, specific agendas, and it's also being inside smaller groups also, there aren't, a lot of regulations. And bottom line is, they're not doing what people think they're doing. And when they say criminal, they just mean brown people. And that means any shade or darker than that. And it's such a difficult conversation to have, and I've been trying to say, how do I have this conversation? Because it's delicate, and as a Puerto Rican, a lot of people don't understand what the difference in that is. And I know, for me, there's been, now I've seen, in retrospect, such a silence from specifically the Puerto Rican community when it came to the civil rights movement in the 60s. And I think that if you look at, for me, the example that I look to that I feel is not strongly enough emphasized is hip-hop. I'm not even gonna trip. My mouth is dry. Like, it's a really difficult conversation to have, if I'm being real. And hip-hop is not, in music, hip-hop is a genre, but really, rap is music. Hip-hop is a culture. Rap is a part of that. Graffiti, breakdancing. And it's a cultural. It's a mindset. It's a rebellion. It's like kind of like rock and roll. It's a movement. Revolution will not be televised. That's because it's inside. It's something that happens internally. It's not something you can see happen. It's metaphor. Message? No, I don't know. Seriously though, I'm struggling with this one, and that's mostly because like being Puerto Rican, my family comes in all shades, right? My dad's really dark, my mom's really light, and growing up in mixed neighborhoods, like I really didn't. I went from living in the South Bronx in New York to then moving to like Lakeland, Florida, and Central Florida. Is just very different, and I suddenly learned, oh crap, the rest of the country is not like New York City. And then we moved to Miami because it was more comfortable. It felt a lot more like New York. I had a very strong sense of identity, especially when it came to being Boricua, and that's because I was very fortunate that I grew up in a multi-generational home. I didn't grow up with just my grandparents. I grew up with my great-grandparents. So my grandfather, when I say grandfather, I mean my great-grandfather. My great-grandfather was born in like 1903 or 1904, and my great-grandmother was born in 1901. These people, they were like my mom. When my mom worked when I was younger, they were the ones that were at home cooking and taking care of the house. Like, they were my grandparents, but they also lived in my house, and my mom took care of them, sort of like it was mutual, until they got really old and they needed full care. And my grandfather, me and him would play dominoes, and my grandfather was a proud Puerto Rican man. Like, he used to watch wrestling every Saturday or Sunday, whatever it was. And la lucha, pone la lucha, pone la lucha. And my grandmother, she would cook, and I would say my nina, my papa. Other people would say tu mai and tu pai. I'm gonna get into all that. It's kind of funny story because there were so many kids that they raised, and that's kind of like why I'm in that situation, was because, you know, they raised so many kids that they had nicknames that was tu mai and tu pai, because basically whenever somebody would try to ask them a question, they would ask tu mai, like your mom, ask tu, like tu as you in Spanish, and tu mai as they just became their names, tu mai and tu pai. Anyway, Tupai, my papa, my great grandfather, he saw a lot, man. Like, his kids, and he had 3 sons. They went into the Korean War. His first grandson went into Vietnam, and then he passed away shortly before 9/11. And so, I was a teenager, and it was different. So like this man saw horse and carriage. He was there. He helped build the first highways in Puerto Rico. He actually came from a wealthy family, and I didn't know that. There's a long story behind it that I learned recently from photographs and stuff, because he has photographs from when he was a child, which means somebody was wealthy. And we're like, oh, sure enough. Well, turns out he turned down that wealth for love, because when he brought my great grandmother home, she wasn't accepted because she was darker skin, more darker complexion, and so he decided he moved in with her, and after Puerto Rico was already a U.S. territory, but once Puerto Ricans were granted U.S. citizenship, or actual like U.S. citizenship, they all moved to New York for, there wasn't that many opportunities in Puerto Rico. My grandfather learned how to make pitorro, which is like Puerto Rican moonshine rum, and during Prohibition, he made some cash and did what he needed to do, and brought the whole family over. And so why that's important to me is that I learned throughout the history that Puerto Ricans weren't allowed to fly the Puerto Rican flag in the 50s. It was illegal to actually hoist that flag, even though it's an American flag. It's an American territory, and there's a lot of crazy stuff. Like, Puerto Rico was, bombed by the U.S. military. Like, there's numerous things. And I'm not even trying to sit here and say, like, there's people who point fingers so bad about the past. I get it. I'm saying we can do better, and I'm just not seeing that. And what I'm saying is, when it comes to politics, I'm really bad at it. And what I mean is, I hate politics so much. I want to help people, and I'm trying to do the game different, and it's so hard to do things the way that I'm trying to do them, because I'm trying to do it right. I'm trying to do it in a way that doesn't compromise my integrity. And I haven't, obviously, but it's difficult, and I'm struggling with seeing how many people are suffering, and I want to do more. Like, initially when I came into this, I was asking the question of, should I do this? And there were so many people that were like, yes, bro, we need somebody like you. And I think that because I'm not good at politics, because I'm not good at faking the funk and all that bullshit, is exactly why, ironically, why I'm good, probably the best person for that. So I'm saying I think I am the best person for the job in that sense. But yet I don't there's a lot that I don't understand. There's a lot that I don't know how to do. And I struggle with having the conversation on telling people that that their government is lying to them, and that things aren't what they seem, and that they just want to believe the fairy tale, that everything is good. No, we need to do better. We need to do better. And I'm just having a hard time. And what does that have to do with Bad Bunny? All that's leading up to, like, how proud I am as a Puerto Rican, as a Latino, and like as a part of the American history of that. Like, my family, multi-generational military family. I served in combat in Iraq and Kosovo. And I have to say, even throughout all this, like, I'm proud of my service. But we were told that we were kicking in doors in foreign countries and pulling people out of their homes so that did not happen in this country. And this isn't the country that I fought for, man. I think a lot of people agree with that, whatever side of politics you're on. This isn't the country I fought for. There are better ways. I know there are better ways, and I can imagine some. I have some ideas. Like, that's what we need. We need leaders who have a vision of the future, not some ideas from the past. I'm keeping that real. That's the problem, is that we're relying on people to keep making the old mistakes and like renaming themselves after old popes. Like, oh, this person is taking on the image of somebody. No, come on. We need something new, man. We need new ideas. We need the young people to step up, and we got to give them a better world. We're not doing that. And I don't even know. So I have 3 sons. Let me start with my wife. My wife is, I'm Puerto Rican. And honestly, you know what? Let me start with that. We did Ancestry a long time ago, and essentially, Puerto Ricans are, commonly, and just broadly speaking, and most Caribbean people are, in a sense, the mixture of European, Portuguese, Spanish, and African, mostly, typically along the coast. And then, Native American, indigenous American, Taino in the Caribbean and in, the southern area and the peninsulas and whatnot. And it's a combination of those things. And so a lot of people don't realize that you listen to bomba music in the Caribbean. That's African music that survived in the Caribbean, right? So that's important to the creation of hip hop, because Puerto Rican influence in the merger of hip hop. There's a cool story about a party in the South Bronx where a DJ came through, and a bunch of people came through and did all the different things. Like, there's some, who knows if there's exaggerations to that story or not, but the idea is that generally speaking, it's considered that this is when hip hop was created, or the beginning of hip hop. And DJ Kool Herc in Sedgwick Avenue, and my father was actually at a party nearby. A crazy story, but anyway, there was 3 gangs that sort of came to a truce during this time and during this party, and two were like black gangs, and then I think there was a Puerto Rican gang. And so that the combination of those gangs coming to a truce, plus the environments and the mixture of the music and the flavor and the dancing and the graffiti, just everything mixed up was that. So like, what people don't realize is anybody that has had the argument like, oh my God, who says Puerto Ricans didn't contribute to hip hop? What they don't understand is that the Puerto Rican influence in the music that survived from Africa and from the in bomba and in the Caribbean, those tribal and it's those aspects that mixed in that complete it. It's not necessarily, it's that, Puerto Ricans are part of that history too. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, because I'm really light skinned, but does that, I still have 20% like African DNA or something. Like, I have the ancestry updates all the time. I forget the exact numbers, and I'll find the exact thing. But the point is, at what point is it just something that you, a drop of blood or this? Like for me, it's an identity. Like I'm from the Bronx. Like hip hop is just something that's just, you know, it's more than what some people think it is. Like, you know, like the battles. Like there's it's much deeper, man. There are tenets to it. Like but there's a lot that's not known because it's commercialized and it just becomes, you know, commercial like marketing sales. And that's the problem, is that we sell everything. Everything is, look at the Super Bowl commercials. Every commercial hindered on a celebrity being there. If you remove the celebrity, none of the commercials are interesting because there's no story there. It's like AI said, oh, put this person because they're still relevant. People like this younger generation, they don't really have the same celebrity worship that used to happen because the celebrities and the actors are playing the people who are extraordinary. They're pretending to be the extraordinary people, but nobody thinks about the extraordinary people. So there's a reversal happening here. And there's a shift, and it's a cultural shift. And so, long story short, my kids all, you know, like I said, I'm Puerto Rican. My wife is Mexican, Cuban, Colombian, and Venezuelan. And so I always tell people the joke that means my kids are confused, but they're just, you know, all jokes aside, there's an eclectic mix all up in there. But my youngest, he really, like all of my kids have loved Kendrick Lamar, but my youngest really has been feeling like the Bad Bunny, especially the new album. Like, so, like he's always yelling, telling in the car, "Oh, put on más fotos." And so, when I told him and explained to him that Bad Bunny was performing at the Super Bowl and how important it was, he was so excited, and we had a whole thing planned. And I broke out my grandfather's dominoes, and we were gonna do a whole thing, and ran into two problems. One problem was I, as a father, I must accept responsibility that I didn't express or communicate my expectations correctly. So ultimately, my kids all ended up scattering to the wind. My oldest ended up going to his room and playing games by himself. My middle son ended up going playing games by himself, and then the youngest was, you know, just, you know, he was there, but he was, I think, you know, watching cartoons. It was just, they all ended up doing their own thing, and we didn't end up watching the Super Bowl live because just a mix-up. And then, to be honest with you, my youngest had a meltdown. He was having a moment, and even though I wanted to watch it, and even though it was a huge moment, I actually came outside and I heard the next door neighbors, like, I don't have Hispanic neighbors, and I heard the Puerto Rican music and Bad Bunny's music like playing really loud in the next door neighbor's house, and people were dancing and cheering, and it was like the craziest thing. And I didn't want to hear because I wanted to wait to hear it, but I just had to like record a snippet of it because it was just the wildest thing to hear. And my family and I were here alone at home, like intentionally, sort of, but like I don't have a support system like family or siblings or anything like that. And so I have those things. I just don't have support from those people. And that's for various reasons. And that's not even the point of that. The point was I was looking forward to spending time with my family, and because my youngest had sort of, you know, a moment, and he was being, you know, it was being difficult for him. He was just having a moment. And that, you know, Ren decided that he was tired. My middle son decided he was tired. And so I said, you know what? We're not going to watch this live. Like, we were going to stay up, and we didn't have ultimately, he wanted to watch it. I don't know if he was just feeling tired or what, but he just got upset. And I get it, he was like having a little tantrum, but I just wanted to be there for him. And I thought, I don't want him to watch, like us to watch it, and it, like, we'll rewatch it with him. And so that's sort of why I'm being emotional, because I feel like we've lost that connection of it being an event. So, like, I haven't watched it yet because I intend to watch it with them together. Like, even though we didn't watch it live, I'm like avoiding the internet, and I'm just want to watch it with them. And today we weren't able to, and so like I want to do that, and so I want to take my grandfather's dominoes and show them how to play, and tell them about my great grandfather and about our family, and I have old photos there. And I wanted to just, teach him some history and like make it fun, listen to some music, maybe, build up to, I don't know. I had this whole idea in my head that I didn't communicate to them, and everybody scattered to the winds. And so, I said, we'll just wait until we can all be together and we can all get it together. And that's the thing that I'm trying to say. Like, we all live in the same house. It's not like they live in other houses and we can't get together. And I think that's what's happening. Like, people become addicted to drugs, to the internet, to being on to dopamine from whatever it is. They become addicted to things when we lose connection with others. We don't have parties anymore. Everything is like, oh, well, we have to do this routine. Like, why are we going to like political protests? Like, what they're singing music from the 20s. Like, just play some music and look, bring some food trucks out. Have a block party. Like, we need to do things differently, our way, a new way. I think that's part of the problem, is everybody's always looking to the past, and we need to try some new stuff. We just need to rethink some things. Anybody who's like, there's nuance to it. But yeah, we need to reevaluate, man. We need to renegotiate the contract. Long story short, I fully intend to watch the Bad Bunny concert. This is historic. This is amazing for Puerto Ricans and for Latinos, and I'm so proud of everything that he's done, and I'm so glad that he's bringing attention to these issues. And I'm really, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. There's other artists that should have been doing that before, and I'm so proud that he took the leap to do it and make sure that he took the risks to say what he was necessary. And there's a lot of people that need to speak up before, instead of speaking up when it's convenient. A lot of people just don't want to lose a paycheck, and I get it. But that's why that's why running this way is so hard, because I'm risking a lot more because I have so much less than these guys do. And I'm not taking from anybody. I'm not taking from any of these big PACs. I'm not taking from any of these shady organizations. I'm trying to do it right. And I'll be honest with you, man. I hate the pomp and circumstance. I hate the stupid rules. I hate doing the stupid things. I just want to help people, and I love talking to people. I hate the speeches. I hate going up there and speaking. Even though like people think I love it because I can talk, or because I can write and I enjoy writing, and I enjoy the feedback. But like for me, it's not about me, man. Like I love going into the crowd when it comes to protests. Like I'm not there to speak or even have a bullhorn. It's not about me. Like I'm just going there to make sure everybody feels heard, man. Like I just look at it when I was a kid, like I didn't feel heard. And so like for me, art was a way to express myself. I wanted to make movies so that I could be heard. The things that I couldn't say, I could put in a different way. I couldn't do that. I joined the military and things went differently, and I was great at my job. I wanted to do something else, but I was great at my job, and it paid the bills, and I'm so grateful for my service. But there's so much untold, because there's so many people who do dope things, but they don't take credit for the things that they do, or they're unable to, or like, the people who are out there like on all the podcasts and they're selling the books and all that, they're fluffing the story. They're exaggerating. That's why they got all the book deals and all that. Like I don't know how to get a book deal. I wish somebody. So I need help with that. Somebody can help me get a book deal. Like I'm writing my own story, but that's not the point. I'm just trailing off. I fully intend to watch it. I'm so proud of this. I just wanted to watch it with my son, with my whole family, honestly. He was having a moment, and I understood that. And I think we all need to take the time to be more present with our children. Like, just play some Uno, Monopoly. Take one day a week, eat some meals together where you just talk. Like, I grew up in a family, but again, because of my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, because my family was so huge. You have like 100 people in like a small apartment in New York City. And then to see that wither away over time, and now nobody gets together and nobody sees each other. And then my grandmother passed away last year and she didn't even have a funeral. To see that massive family dwindle down, like, it breaks my heart. And I feel like that's what everybody's going through, is we're all disconnected. And the solution is that we need to stop using social media to sell shit. We need to stop being commercials for everything. Everything is not an ad. Everything is not a commercial. Evie, I didn't know you were out here. She caught me off guard. We need to use communication tools to communicate. This is like having a telephone, but every time you pick up your phone to call somebody, you had to listen to an ad first. That's what we're doing with the internet. We need to stop doing this with social media. We need to stop it. We need to communicate with each other. We need to use the social media to organize us getting together and discuss the things that we do in person, not online. Like, that's the problem. You're telling them what you're going, hey, let's organize and go over here. You're telling them what you're doing. You need to organize the events online and say what you need to behind closed doors. Point being, I can't wait to watch this performance, but I'm going to wait for my children and to do it the right way, and it just didn't work out. But I'm so proud to have been able to just hear a snippet of hear Latino music, hear Puerto Rican music, and like it hurts me, like I said, like, so hard to celebrate during this time with everything going on, and I hope people can understand. And it's not what it seems, it's not what you're being told. There is a better way. We can do better. We all do better. When we all do better, we can do better. We have to. I believe in America. I believe in the United States of America. I believe in this country. I have to. I've dedicated so much of my life and so much of my history is tied here. Like, I cannot just sit here and watch it happen. And I'm glad that Bad Bunny took a stance. I'm so proud that the younger generation of Boricua have a hero, because that's what they need. They need somebody to look up to. They need something they can mimic instead of just what they see. They mimic what they see, and right now in leadership, all they see is garbage. And thus, because of a poor example, they will mimic that example. And Benito gave them a better one. Let's all give them a better one.